What is going on, people? We are Tottenham TV. We are back again, and we have got a hefty transfer update for you guys today. We've said brace yourself for a week of outgoings. It hasn't, well, we've had a few outgoings, but there are a lot of talk. There is a lot of talk about some more outgoings and some more developments. So we'll get into that very, very soon. But before we do, obviously, let's get into OK Jersey. Look at this one. New away shirt
just arrived.
Fantastic.
Hot off the press.
You know, everyone said they didn't like it. I absolutely love it.
Looks good.
It's a really nice shirt, isn't it?
Yeah, in person, it looks a lot better, I have to say.
Yeah, I thought it was fantastic. So get yours on the OK Jersey website. We have also got some giveaways to give you at some point. Sneak preview, the giveaways have arrived, so you better tune in to the watch along on Saturday with Mr. Simeon Daniel and Mr. Brian Daigle going to be taking you through the game. Unfortunately, I won't be able to be there, but Sim has got a few presents for you guys to give away during the live stream. But yeah, get yours 10% off with the code SPURS, and you know it, people. They are the best in the business. Order a size up and you will not be disappointed. So get yours today. The link is in the live chat along with the code, which is Spurs, which gets you a further 10% off. But let's get into it. Where are we going to go first?
Where are we going to go first? Where do you want us to go first, chat?
Yeah, what do you want us to speak about first?
Is it Savinho for the millionth time?
We've got a hell of a lot to speak about.
Don't worry, we're going to get to Savinho, people. Don't you worry. You bet we are getting to Savinho.
The Daily Savinho is on its way. But first and foremost, we are going to talk about Mickey van de Ven. We brought the news yesterday about a new contract. SNY has given us further information on it, saying Van de Ven is now set to sign a 5-year contract with a further year extension on top of that. Van de Ven will be one of the highest earners at Tottenham Hotspur. He doesn't say the highest earner, so he says one of the highest. So pretty much what we were kind of thinking yesterday about him taking over that Romero contract, I think, is bang on the money.
Yeah, and I think that's pretty accurate to his status in the squad. I'm delighted. I think he's growing, I think, every year as a centre-back. Even though Spurs didn't have the best season last season, I actually think Van de Ven grew as a player with his defending. I thought he was much more of a threat in the box. He was scoring more goals, and if he can continue that trajectory, while also if De Zerbi, imagine he can unlock a new element to his game with his on-the-ball ability and his passing ability. If he can take that on another level, then there's nothing stopping Van de Ven becoming the best centre-back in the league. I really believe that. He's strong, he's quick. He's had some issues when he's first come, but he's always had that incredible recovery pace. He's always had a great reading of the game. I think he's struggled when he first came with maybe his aerial ability and maybe his defensive box defending and stuff like that. He seems to have improved that. Now it's all about maximising his on-the-ball ability, and he's got the best coach in the business to do that.
Yeah, and future captain, I think, as well. You know, you've seen leadership ability, you've seen him with the captain's armband on. Look, Maddison's going to have the captaincy this year, but I wouldn't completely rule out him being a future captain of this football club.
And
I really wouldn't.
Yeah, and I also think him developing that partnership with Van Hecker, having that partnership at club level and at international level, they're going to really grow together, and that could definitely, I can see that being the starting partnership for the next World Cup.
Yeah, I wouldn't be a bit bet against it as well, albeit the Dutch need to find a decent left back before that happens. Next up, let's talk about Kulusevski, because we spoke about him yesterday regarding he's fit and ready. That was kind of a misquote, wasn't it, from Nazar Kinsella. He's not fit and ready. He's not even part of first team training as of yet. There has been a video that's been circulating that Spurs put out yesterday of him running with Kudus. So he's definitely on the pitch and doing work on the pitch, which is positive.
Full screen, yeah. There you go.
But
so everyone was going a bit crazy when they uploaded this video, because it's just been seen so long since I guess we've seen Decky on the grass and like with a ball at his feet and taking shots. So this is really great and really encouraging to see.
It is encouraging, but not as encouraging as maybe what we thought yesterday. It looks great on the face of things.
I know there's no keeper in there, but he's got it in.
It was right in the corner.
Right in the corner.
Sam Tabital says Kulusevski is not yet back in first team training and will be phased back slowly. He remains some way off action.
Yeah,
So-
which it's understandable, but watching these clips in this video, obviously we've been fed drips about of Decky throughout the summer about him playing basketball, him doing some individual running. But I know he's not in first team full training, but he's clearly trying getting up to speed slowly but surely. There's Ashley Phillips he's taking on, so he's playing with fellow players there, getting to grips with things. He looking a bit sharper than I thought, a bit more flexible. He's not looking as stiff as maybe he was earlier. So there you go. I'm loving the look of that.
Some people suggesting, I've seen it a few times in the comments, but also on social media, that whilst he's running, you can see him limping a little bit as well. I can't really see
I mean,
it,
he's
but
always
some
been a bit of an awkward
people-
runner.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Let's if we're taking, we need Dr. Andre to break this down. By the way, Kudus, his finishing doesn't look anywhere near as good as Decky's, but I don't know. Do I see him limping? I don't know. He looks pretty normal to me.
See that glide? when he took it
Yeah, I was
past
like,
Ashley
wow,
Phillips, mate.
looking sharp. There was this thread I was reading from I think her name was Leah. She's a sports physiotherapist. She did this long thread about Decky about a month ago, saying the injury he's had, it's very possible it's gonna have long-term effect. Doesn't mean his career is over, but it's very possible that he might not be able to recover his speed, and there are certain aspects to the knee that he's injured which he might not fully recover from. And she quote retweeted that video saying he's actually looking a lot better than I expected, given the injury he has. And this video was actually really encouraging, she was saying. So, look, obviously you can take her credentials, whatever, but it's for me, seeing him on the pitch there, I couldn't be happier. Hopefully that he's getting closer to a return.
I mean, when we spoke to Dr. Andre, he didn't really suggest that his career will be in threat. He kind of thought that Kulusevski will make a recovery and make it back onto the pitch. We never really asked him about speed and anything like that, but he didn't seem that worried about Kulusevski, did he?
Well, I think it clearly is a career-threatening injury considering how long he's been out. You know what I mean? So I think that tells you itself that this is not a simple injury. And it's not an easy recovery as well. There's no, and with the muscle, that there's no blood flow that goes to that muscle, so it's not an easy recovery whatsoever. So I think there's a lot of question marks about Decky. So the fact that he's back on the pitch and he's training with Kudus, and obviously the next step will be back going to full team training. I think that's really encouraging for me.
Next up, let's talk about Ashley Phillips. With Ashley Phillips, Sky Sports have reported that Tottenham have just sold Ashley Phillips to Middlesbrough for a round fee of £20 million, 7 million guaranteed plus 13 million in add-ons, a 20% sell-on fee and matching rights included. Romero has also basically confirmed that. He didn't say the 30 million add-ons, but he said 77 million plus add-ons. So what a monstrous fee for Ashley Phillips. Potential 20 million.
I mean, we could get a potential 40 million for Lancashire and Phillips.
Crazy.
That's nuts. Absolutely nuts. Rafi Mawson is the GOAT. Obviously, I'm assuming it depends on probably Middlesbrough getting promoted, Phillips playing a lot of games and whatnot. So I don't know how achievable those add-ons are, but the fact that it could reach potential 20 million if all things go well. And considering he's quite young, I mean, that's an incredible price and an incredible piece of business for Tottenham Hotspur yet again. And we've been getting top dollar for fringe players this summer, and I think this is another example. I know Phillips is quite high potential, but we don't know yet how much he's going to be worth down the line. So I think this price is fantastic, and it just adds to the coffers, doesn't it, for potential incomings?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Spurs are probably very much invested in Middlesbrough getting promotion this season.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of these add-ons are probably to do with Middlesbrough getting promoted, because we know how lucrative promotion is. So if they get promotion, these prices might be a bit of a drop in the ocean for them, kind of thing.
True.
So let's hope Middlesbrough get promoted.
Someone in the comments says, and we have a buyback. I don't know if that's true. I haven't read
We have
that.
matching clause.
And we have a matching clause.
Yeah, we have matching clause.
So we have that as well. Brilliant. So if he turns out to be something good, then we can maybe get him back for a decent fee. So we have that on all our players. I wonder with all the clauses we've got with all the players, I wonder how much down the line we're going to be getting from all of these players with all these 20% sell-on clauses.
Look, I do think that with these sell-on clauses, with the percentage, it's percentage on profit. I don't think it's a percentage on sales, so they would have to be sold for more than what kind of they bought them for. So it's not as just straightforward as like we'll get 20% on whatever they bring in. It's whatever they bring in on top of what they spent, kind of thing. Jed Spence. So with Jed Spence, there has been interest from Liverpool. SZY saying that Liverpool hold an interest in Jed Spence and he would be very open to the move if the offer arises. Tottenham would seek at least £35 million. Tom Barkley says he understands that Liverpool do have some interest in Jed Spence as per SZY. Told there are other clubs whose interest currently seems stronger, but let's see how it develops. Spence's price tag would be 35 million. Would be around 35 million. Seems increasingly likely he's going to leave Tottenham this summer. And Darren Lewis says that Jed Spence would want to go to Liverpool if an offer is made, and he'll be staggered if the window closed and Jed Spence is still a Spurs player. So
just seen Ben Jacobs as well said Spence has been offered to Liverpool and Man United, but it's unclear whether United have said they want him as of now.
Oh, that's very interesting. So
we're offering him out.
Well, unless it's a case that he wants to leave, I guess, and
he
doesn't want to keep a player against his wishes. We know that. So this does throw a spanner in the works in terms of our transfer window, because if he has to go, we have to buy a replacement.
Nico never signed that contract, did he?
Who's that?
Nico Williams.
I didn't hear of it, no.
No, so there was rumours of it, so maybe he's probably still on our list, I would assume.
Yeah, I would assume that as well. But in terms of the price for Spence, do you think 35 million is a kind of fair reflection, or you think we can get more?
I think he's worth more in this current market, and with his stock as high as it is during the World Cup. I would say when you look at the price being banded about for a lot of players right now around the Premier League, I think you should really be looking about 45 million for Jed Spence, considering he's just had a brilliant World Cup. He was one of the shining lights on the big stage for England. He's been a consistent performer for Tottenham over the last 18 months as well. He's got unbelievable physical attributes. He can play on both sides as well. And you got Premier League clubs in for him, so then they shouldn't be short of money. So I would say 35 million's on the low side. I would say if we did sell him for 35 million, I don't think it's a horrible price. And obviously we get big profit on what we bought him for. And obviously that can go into replacing him. I don't think it's a horrendous... I don't think it's like selling Romero for 35 million. I don't think it's like way less than what he's worth. But I do think that's on the cheap side, I would say.
You'd probably think like somewhere between 35 and 45.
Yeah.
Is probably where he's at. But yeah, look, in terms of Spence, is a bit annoying because, you know, you thought you had your fullback sorted with Porro, Spence, Destiny and Robertson. And obviously Spence can play both sides and an asset in that kind of situation. But the reality is, if he does want to go, he wants to go. Like we always thought coming into this window, he could be one to go because he's got Porro ahead of him on the right. He's got players ahead of him on the left-hand side as well. So after having such a good World Cup, he wants to go somewhere and start. And he wants to get more minutes, and he's not guaranteed those minutes at Tottenham Hotspur. He's actually more guaranteed those minutes at Liverpool. And Liverpool are a team who 2 years ago were champions of England. They're in the Champions League. Obviously a top club, one of the biggest clubs, if not the biggest club in English football. So I completely understand where he's coming from. And if he wants to go, let him go, and we'll have to sign someone else as a replacement. Like Desailly said, we're not in the business of holding players against their will. If they don't want to play for Tottenham, then let them go.
Yeah, and I think as well, if you're Jed Spence, throughout his whole time at Spurs, as much as he's now, we've got him to the place where he's been playing for England the World Cups, his stock has risen. It always feels like he's never the first choice. It always feels like he's always playing second fiddle. He's always kind of only in the team because of certain things, not because he's that good. He's only playing because the doggy's injured or this has happened. Every time we've got everyone fit, he's back out. So maybe he feels a bit disrespected on that point. And when you've got someone, a team as big as Liverpool coming in for you, and your stock is as high as it is after, and your confidence is as high as it is after starring in the World Cup, it's completely understandable that he might look to a different place. But do you think this could affect the Gakpo deal? Do you think maybe there could be something done here?
Yeah, for sure. I think the conversation's probably already, you know, Ben Jacobs is saying we've offered him to Liverpool. That's definitely within some sort of Gakpo talks. I have no doubt about it.
30 million plus Spence?
30 million plus Spence. It should be 30 million plus Gakpo.
But it won't be.
Nah, I think if we value Spence at around 35-40 million and they want 70 million for Gakpo, then yeah, it just makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I don't think is that a bad deal? Not particularly.
No, I think that's a decent deal for Tottenham. It's a decent deal. I think, yeah, I mean, it'll work out like that either way wherever we sell him, because wherever we sell him, we're not going to sell him for low 35, and Gakpo's probably going to go for around 70 million. I think Gakpo's a bit overpriced. Spence maybe a bit underpriced, so maybe it works against us a little bit in that sense. But
we're selling a player who might not start for hopefully a player that will.
Yeah, he's a player that might not start, but he's still a very valuable player to have. Don't get me wrong. Like, you're talking about someone like, let's say Porro gets injured, you've got a very able deputy, and you've got a long season ahead. He'll still see a fair amount of minutes.
Is there a chance that we don't sign a replacement, do you think, for Spence and just play Gray there?
I think there is a chance, but I wouldn't want to see that. I want to get a natural right back. I think Nico Williams is probably the perfect option to bring in, to be honest, because he's also can play right and left. But I think Nico Williams might, command a bit of a hefty fee as well, because Forest don't want to sell, but it's about how much Nico Williams wants to leave, I guess.
And look, that contract remains unsigned, so as long as that happens, I guess the door is open. Yeah, but Gray has played quite a bit of right back already in pre-season, so I do wonder if that is with a view of maybe him filling in there on occasion if Spence goes.
I think the reason Gray's played at right back is because we've had no right backs to play, and he's the only one that could fill in there. There's literally no one else.
Could have played a youngster. We've done it with other positions.
We played youngsters at right back, but I think he wanted to give minutes to Gray as well, and we've got a lot of midfielders. So I think it's just obvious, he had to play Gray at right back. There were games where we played Ty Hall at right back and Archie Gray in midfield, but he wanted to give minutes to other midfielders, so he put Gray at right back.
We'll see.
Yeah, we will see. But I think we will look to sign another one, and hopefully it can be Nico Williams. Another player who could be who is out the door, but it might not be to West Ham, is Manor Solomon, as a couple of reports suggesting from James Hockery, an ex-West Ham employee, that the West Ham move for Manor Solomon is on hold. Despite agreeing a deal with Spurs, they have had second thoughts on completing the transfer due to the reaction it's received, and a deal is ready to complete, but West Ham are in mixed minds and are erring on avoiding the whole situation. So it looks as though Manor Solomon's move to West Ham is off.
Yeah, well, for now, we'll see. Maybe they'll change their mind. Obviously, minority looks like to me a minority kind of West Ham fans have made a loud noise about things outside of football when it comes to Manor Solomon, and that has maybe made West Ham think twice about it. But I think if they sign him, they wouldn't get that much blowback. I think they're overthinking it. I think they should just sign him. I think that he's a good player. He'll kill the Championship. He would do really well there, and he would be a really good player for them long term. And let's hope that move happens. I know there's also reports of Hull, as we've seen, but we haven't really heard too much ever since the initial reports. It's going to be hard to find other teams willing to spend the amount of money that we're demanding for Manor Solomon, in my opinion. But yeah, let's see. Maybe I think right now, maybe they've seen the reaction and just taken a step back, but they could still change their mind, I feel.
Potentially, but yeah, I don't think they will, to be honest. I think
I wouldn't rule out.
I mean, James Hockery's literal update is he dropped the exclusive before ex West Ham, and he said Manor Solomon's move to West Ham is off. Quite definitive. So I don't know. He says as all well they're looking at Simon Adingra now as a replacement. So I don't think this move to West Ham's going to happen. Maybe Hull are going to step up their interest now. If not, then who knows? Maybe another club will come in. But this thing is going to keep following around, unfortunately. But we'll see what happens. I've said it on a number of occasions. I wouldn't mind, and I would like to see him be part of the Spurs squad next season. Not as a starter, but just as a squad option. So we'll see what happens with Manor Solomon. Another player that's potentially out the door is Richarlison. So we've spoken a lot about Richarlison, haven't we, over the past week or so? 2 goals in pre-season. Paul O'Keefe has said that Tottenham want near to £40 million for Richarlison this summer. Himothy is also saying that Everton have looked at Richarlison. David Moyes is undecided whether to push for Richarlison or not, but the fee would have to be over £35 million to be considered. With 1 year left in his deal, to go for the same price as what Jed Spence with like multiple years left in his deal, is that a bit mad?
Yeah, I don't see Tottenham getting anywhere near that. I think they're pricing him out of a move if that's what we're demanding, in my opinion. Not only is it 1 year left on his deal, but it's also his injury record. I know last season he stayed relatively fit, but throughout his whole time at Tottenham, he's struggled to get on the pitch, and that's been his biggest weakness. So not only have you got his injury record, you've got his age, you've got potentially declining physicality, and you've got 1 year left on his contract. That doesn't tell me he's a £40 million player. On the flip side, he is a player that score goals in the Premier League, and they're not easy to come by right now.
Very hard to come by.
Yeah, so from that point of view, I understand Tottenham probably feel like we do have a player who has got a proven track record when he is on the pitch that he is a fairly consistent source of goals, and that is very valuable, especially when you're talking about teams below Tottenham who maybe don't have the funds to go get big strikers who are guaranteed to get goals. So we also do have that in our advantage when it comes to this kind of deal. I do think if he had maybe 2 years left on his deal, and if he had a better time with injuries, I think 40 million is probably a fair price. I don't think that's ridiculous, but I think when you look at everything going against it, I would have said like you're probably looking at 20 million. I would have thought, but apparently we want a lot more than that. So I can't see anyone paying that personally. I don't think we get that fee. So if we're going to sell Richarlison and move on from him, we're going to have to compromise on that.
How much do you think we command for like Dominic Solanke then?
No more. I think we probably command 45 for him.
He's also had injury problems and hasn't scored as much as Richarlison.
But he's historically not as injury prone. He's probably got longer on his I don't know how much longer he has on his contract, but I assume he's got longer on his contract.
Did Richarlison have a lot of injury problems before he joined us?
Not as bad as he was at Tottenham, no. But he's also been injury prone now for 4 years.
Yeah, well, 3 years if you take away last year.
Yeah. So
it's only a year out from Solanke.
Yeah, but still, I think Solanke's. I still think he's a bit more physically robust than Richarlison. He's also signed a bit more recently than Richarlison as well, and I think he's got longer on his contract, and he's a bit younger. So I think all those aspects, I think you would command more for Solanke than you would for Richarlison.
Yeah, I think that thing what you said about a goal scorer, and his goal scoring record does speak for itself. And like you said, these guys are hard to come by in the Premier League. You just look at the goal scoring charts last season. It tells you everything you need to know about finding goal scorers like that. Lack of number nines, real number nines that can score goals in the Premier League. There's just not many of them anymore.
Well, Chelsea resorted to signing Welbeck. That's what I'm saying. That's the reality.
There's not many of them anymore. So I guess that's probably what Spurs are thinking about in terms of pricing him in this way.
Yeah, that's what I'm feeling, but I just don't think we're going to get that price if we want to sell him. I don't think maybe we can convince Everton or someone to put the money up, but I'll be shocked if we got anywhere near 40 million.
I reckon it's probably just the starting negotiation anyway, and they'll come to the table, probably come to some sort of agreement, 25 million, 30 million, around about that ballpark figure. Because Spurs very well about to know, like if they don't do a deal for that price, he'll go for free next summer.
It's also true.
So Spurs will know exactly
Unless we give him a new
situation. I don't think they'll give him a new deal.
They might give him a 1 year extension to prevent him going on a free.
Potentially, but I think they would probably prefer him out the door and to go for a different striker and go for in a different direction. Like we've been through this so many times with so many different players. Oh, just give them a 1 year extension so we'll get some money, and then we never end up getting money for it, and we're just stuck with them. So
yeah, it's true.
Probably. I don't think he's going to get another contract.
There should be. I mean, I would imagine there should be a fair bit of interest from around the Premier League for him. A striker like of his with his scoring record, you would think. Obviously Everton, he's got that personal connection, but you think definitely some of the teams in the lower half of the table would be interested in getting someone like Rishi in.
Yeah, for sure. I would say so. Particularly like the promoted clubs, Everton.
Could a Palace be interested potentially, someone like that?
They got Mateta.
I know, but could do with some competition. I guess they got Strand Larsen actually as well.
Nah, not Palace. But I think anyone kind of in the lower half that haven't been in Europe. So Palace, they got European football next season. So I think anyone outside the kind of European spots would probably fancy a Richarlison. Let's move on. Let's talk about Pape Matar Sarr. We brought you the news I think last week it was now, that that Aston Villa are very much interested in trying to do a deal for Pape Matar Sarr. SZY says talks are stalling now on the Pape Matar Sarr to Aston Villa deal. They are looking for a loan with an option or an obligation, but Spurs would prefer a permanent deal. And I don't think that should stop this move from happening. Like, if it's an obligation, that's pretty much a sale anyway, so you may as well just get the deal done.
Although you had Harvey Elliott go there on an obligation if certain criteria are met, and that completely derailed his transfer because they didn't want to play him. So he ended up joining and then never playing because they didn't want to play him to trigger the clause. So I'm guessing they maybe Spurs would want to avoid that because they wouldn't want Pape Sarr to come back. But obviously for Aston Villa it makes a lot more sense. They're looking at Sarr as a player with high potential who's stagnated over the last year to 18 months, and maybe they just want to see what kind of level he's at and what kind of player they bring in before they commit to spending a significant fee on him. Obviously Spurs are going to try and push to get that fee that we want so we can move on to other targets and get him out the door. I wonder what kind of fee we're demanding. You would assume something like 25 million. I mean, if we're demanding 40 for Rishi, yeah, you'd think 25 to 30 million for Sarr. That's probably around the ballpark we're demanding, you would think. Considering he's probably got a few years left on his deal and he's a young midfielder, and he's also shown he can play in the Premier League. So I think it would be a good signing for Villa. I think they could really do with someone like Pape Sarr and the legs that he brings. I think Unai could really do a good job with him. So let's hope they stump up the cash, but we know Villa don't I don't know, they have their struggles with the money, don't they?
Yeah. So I think Spurs should probably accept like an obligation deal, 25 million. They've lost Douglas Luiz. They've lost, I think Douglas Luiz has gone back to Juve, right? He's gone back. Tielemans has gone. They've got a clear hole in the middle of the park. And Pape's a good player. Well, anyone will say, it's just not gone the right way for him at Spurs over the last couple of years. But we've all seen that there's definitely a player in there. We've all seen it firsthand. So he just needs kind of fresh place to go where people believe in him. He's got too many players ahead of him at Tottenham now. So I think Aston Villa will get a good player in Pape Matar Sarr. And you never know, they sign him for 25 million. If he starts week in, week out and really has the belief in his development kind of goes in the way that it should go, then they'll make a lot of money on him. Yeah,
100%. And this was a player that not long ago we were talking about, big money potentially. He's worth 70, 80 million. So the value has obviously dropped quite rapidly over the last couple of years, but definitely there's a player there who's got incredible physical attributes. I think when he's on his game, he's a good passer. He can actually be a threat in and around the box as well. I just think he needs to work on his game intelligence, and I think he would be a top player.
Yeah. God bless him, had to play in the 10. Most of the times he got on the pitch last season under Thomas Frank.
Battling for second balls.
Next up, Cuti Romero. Alfredo Padula saying Atletico Madrid have increased their offer for Cuti Romero. They initially started with a low bid, and now they have increased it in an attempt to reach at least 40 million euros demanded by Spurs. Atletico Madrid are now making a serious push to complete the signing. Team Talk saying Atletico Madrid have moved into pole position to sign Cuti Romero after agreeing personal terms. Marca say that Atletico Madrid sees the sales of Molina and Ruggeri as a major advantage as they generate funds without requiring the club to sign a replacement. At right back, they have Llorente and Pubil, and while Grimaldo and Hanko provide cover at left back, those two departures free up space in the squad, reduce the wage bill, and generate the funds needed to make the signing of Cuti Romero a possibility for Atletico Madrid. So, yeah, I mean, I do think this deal's going to happen.
Yeah, I think it was all a matter of financials. It was all a matter of just getting the Atletico getting the money over the line, getting the sales in. And then Cuti was always their number one target. He was always such an Atletico-coded player. He was always going to work well under Simeone. I always felt like they were going to come back in for him. So I think we're going to hear this accelerate now over the next few days.
What's that? You got Ornstein Bomber?
Ornstein Bomber on Solomon. He says that West Ham talks with Tottenham over Solomon, currently off for financial reasons. West Ham aim to pay $5 million, but not agreeing to bonuses that Tottenham want in the case of promotion. So I'm guessing that was like an extra 10 or something. Fiorentina pushing, but currently below club valuation.
So Spurs want like 5 million and like 10 million in add-ons.
Probably.
Something like that.
That's what I'm assuming. That is. So he's claiming it's financial reasons. Other sources saying it's not.
Yeah, I don't believe it's financial reasons. Don't believe it for 1 second. With the money that West Ham have made and potential promotion as well is the only clause as well, which will get even more money in. I don't believe it's financial reasons, but let's see if Fiorentina can get a deal done. Let's see if Hull can get a deal done. Watch this space, I guess. Watch this space. Some potential incomings we'll talk about. First of all, you know exactly where we're going. It is the daily Savinho time. And with Savinho, SZY is saying the fee for Savinho may rise to up to £70 million. However, Tottenham will not wait until deadline day to complete a deal for Savinho. Team Talk are reporting that Tottenham are stepping up their efforts to force a breakthrough in their pursuit of Savinho by exploring a potential move for Chelsea winger Pedro Neto.
Of course we are. Which I think, I don't know, there's conflicting reports about how reliable this Pedro Neto stuff is. But when it comes to Savinho, obviously 70 million now is getting more and more expensive, isn't it, by the day, this Savinho deal. So Darren Lewis was on last one on Spurs yesterday talking about this deal, and he thinks what the situation is that Savinho wants to go and Tottenham want him, but Man City don't really want to sell him. So they're making it very difficult for Tottenham to get it over the line because they're not that interested in letting him go, which kind of makes sense. Otherwise, if Man City were very open to selling him and not thinking he was any good, this deal would surely have been done already. So there must be something holding it up. It must be on City's end, the fact that they're trying to maximise the value because they think they've got a good player on their hands. That's what I feel is probably going on right now. But every reliable journalist seems to think this is going to be happening at some point. This is going to be a goer, and we are going to get our man. So it's just dragging on every single day. I mean, 70 million, you're getting into really high territory at this point. How much higher are we supposed to go? 140 million potentially we're talking about for Gakpo and Savinho. It's mad figures, isn't it?
Yeah. It is mad. But look, I keep saying it, but I still think we're going to get him. It is a case of Man City getting a replacement in, but it tells you a lot about what they think about Savinho and the qualities that he may have. This is Manchester City we're talking about. So the thing is, right, if he wants to go, just let the guy go. Free Savinho, man. Free Savinho. Let him go. Let him do what he wants to do. You heard De Zerbi speak the other day saying anyone that doesn't want to be at this club, swing your hook. Why isn't it the same at Man City? It used to be. Not anymore. They're just holding him against his will at this point.
Let's hope we can get over the line. I don't know exactly. Is it a figure thing? Is it a replacement thing? Is it just they don't want to let him go? Who knows exactly what's going on? He's played in both pre-season games as well. So that would suggest, we're not there. It's not really that close just yet.
Yeah.
So is there still a way to go? I mean, there was also, I think, who was it? Mike McGrath said this could go to the final days of the window. I mean, I really hope it doesn't drag on.
I said Spurs won't wait around that long.
Yeah. Then who do we go for? I guess we'll talk about that.
Yeah. Pedro Neto, I guess. Pedro Neto. Another name that has been mentioned is Antonio Nusa. Tom Allnut says that Nusa is an alternative being discussed by Tottenham, with Man City and Spurs yet to agree a fee for Savinho. SZY says Tottenham have a long-standing interest in Nusa. Tottenham approached Nusa's camp earlier in the window. However, there is still caution regarding a medical. Nusa, there's actually a quote from Nusa. He's denied reports of his exit this summer. He says the media can write whatever they want. I never asked to leave. I'm here back from vacation, focused on Leipzig. I mean, I don't think anyone's ever reported that he's asked to leave, have they? I haven't seen any of them.
No, but maybe he's just batting against allegations that he is any close to leaving or whatever. But for me, Nusa, I do like him, and I think he's clearly a good player, and I think he could do a good job at Tottenham. But when it comes to getting him over instead of Savinho, I mean, he's just so many more question marks about him. Not just a different league, but also medically. He's failed, I think, 2 medicals I've read. So there's big question marks about his long-term fitness, his goal-scoring ability.
But he has passed the medical since then, hasn't he?
He has, but why did he fail 2 medicals? You know, it's a big question mark. You have to obviously look at that. But he was able to pass a medical and sign for Leipzig. His goal scoring record is not exactly much better than Savinho. I mean, he didn't score loads of goals last season. But he is the kind of profile we should be looking at in terms of just, if you strip everything away and just look at the talent of the player, I do really like him. And I think from that point of view, he is a good alternative to Savinho. But I think when you add everything into it, he becomes a big risk.
Yeah. I mean, this medical situation was a while ago now, so I'm not sure. I mean, we haven't heard. I mean, I think he's played quite regularly. Obviously, they were not worried about the short term. They were worried about the long term. But RB Leipzig didn't seem to think that was an issue. He's played quite regularly for them.
It might be an issue. It might not be an issue for them if they get to sell him.
Yeah, that's also true. Look, I've said it before. I really like Savinho. I really like Antonio Nusa. I think he's a really good player. Whenever I watch him play, he's an exciting talent. He's creative, quick. But I think at this moment in time, I'd prefer probably to go for a Savinho over a Nusa. But I think Nusa might end up being a little bit cheaper than Savinho.
Yeah, it'll be an easy deal to do, you'd assume.
But I'd much prefer Savinho. I really would. I think he's the better of the 2 talents at this moment in time. But Nusa's a great second choice.
I also think Savinho can play both wings a bit better than Nusa. I think Nusa's much better on the left than he is on the right. I think Savinho is actually pretty evenly good on either wing.
Yeah, I agree with that. So look, we'll see how it all rumbles on. I guess we're still none the wiser about Savinho. We need to just get this rolling, man. There's not long to go till the start of the season.
No, we're getting closer and closer.
2 weeks to go, and then it's the start of the season. So we need to get these deals over the line. We can't start the season with this forward line looking like this.
No.
Because not only do we not have the players in that we want in, Kudus is, who knows if he's going to make the start of the season. You know what I mean? Maddison, who knows if he's going to make the start of the season. So we need these players in before, at least to get a bit like a week training with De Zerbi, you know what I mean? So it's all very frustrating. Let's hope things can happen pretty soon. But that is your Tottenham update for today. Let me know in the comment section below your thoughts regarding all the news stories that we have spoken about today. Next up, we are going to be looking at Cody Gakpo and the numbers behind Cody Gakpo and why are Spurs looking to bring in Cody Gakpo. Is there more than meets the eye with Gakpo? Obviously, we know that he's got regular goals and assists. But why, are Liverpool so happy to see the back of him? Why are Spurs so desperate to get in? We've got some pie charts, some data, and some comparisons that we're going to be looking at.
Yeah, so why are Tottenham reportedly willing to spend £70 million on Cody Gakpo, which is apparently a lot of fans are perplexed. They're confused. They're saying it's crazy. They're saying he's mid. They're saying this is a guy who doesn't improve us. We need to be looking at better. And I get all those arguments, but if you're looking at the numbers, you're looking at, if you drill into kind of the underlying data, not just goals and assists, but what he brings to the team, I think you can start to see a picture on why Cody Gakpo is one of the players we are looking at. So if you look at, this is kind of Cody Gakpo, this is a pie chart or a pizza chart, whatever you want to call it, of his underlying metrics. This is from like 2 years ago for Cody Gakpo, so the 23-24 season. So you bring it up. What you can see is what he performs very high at in the green there is expected goals, touches in the box. Those are things that he performs extremely strong at. His dribble success rate when he does choose to take on his man, very high. What you can see there in the orange, he was actually one of the better defensive forwards in that season. So he has it in him to perform with defensive actions, pressures. That was under Jurgen Klopp, obviously. That was obviously really good. Where he was maybe not as good at was his assists were good, but his key passes weren't so great, and his kind of creation metrics weren't particularly good. You go to the next season. This was the first season under Slot. As you can see, not as good defensively, but what's he really still strong at? Goals, XG, touches in the box. He gets in the box. He gets chances, and more often than not, he puts himself in goal-scoring positions and he shoots. Again, quite high dribble success rate, so when he does decide to dribble, he's usually good. Chance creation, not so great, again. So pretty consistent through line. The only difference here is defensively not as good. And then you go to last season. This was his second season of this season. Everyone said he did awful under Slot. Yet again, what does he perform good at? Goals, non-penalty goals, touches in the box, one of the best. What's interesting here is he's even lower than before on defensively. So I wonder if this is why a lot of Liverpool fans start to get the hump with him, because clearly when you're looking at the data, his defensive actions drastically decreased from Klopp to when Slot has come in. But I think what we can learn, and again, the key passes and expected assists and stuff still fairly low. But I think it starts to build a picture of what you're getting with Gakpo. Someone who's good at kind of taking on his man when given the opportunity, and he gets in the box, he gets shots off, and he does get goals. And I think over the 3 seasons he's had at Liverpool, that's been a consistent trend. I think you can see in the data there.
I think it's interesting because you look at him compared to like the other Premier League players and the leading Premier League players. He's always up there in like the top 5, top 6, top 7, whatever it be, with touches in the box. So he's always getting in dangerous areas. He knows how to sniff out those chances and sniff out dangerous moments. I think his finishing sometimes maybe can be a bit erratic at times, and maybe he's taking a bit too many shots, but I think he's always there. That's the thing. He is always there. So maybe his game needs a bit more, or his finishing needs a bit more refinement in that sense. But in terms of what you're saying about the defensive metrics, obviously Jurgen Klopp and Slot have 2 different styles of football. So I'm thinking that maybe that's something that maybe Klopp just demanded a lot more than an Arne Slot.
Yeah, potentially, but also I think it's proven that when Klopp was there, his defensive numbers were up, so he is capable of being kind of the first, defending from the front, that kind of forward. And obviously under Slot, it was different. They were maybe a bit more controlled, less helter-skelter, rock and roll, and they were more trying to control the game. And actually, their out of possession stuff wasn't particularly impressive, I felt, under Arne Slot, but in possession was very different. But I think definitely you can see that he just provides that goal threat. And yes, he's not the most creative, but that's why we want Savinho. That's what we want Kudus for. They've got those roles, and then Gakpo obviously fulfills what's missing in the squad, which is that ability to get in the box. Now, let's compare him to our current left wingers, and as well, I've added Savinho because he's potentially coming, but I'm comparing him to Gakpo, to Tel, Kudus, and Savinho. So you've got Gakpo in the orange, you've got Kudus in the blue, Tel in the purple, and Savinho in the red. So what you can see there is in the top, it's the shots, non-penalty shots, touched in the box, non-penalty goals, non-penalty XG along the top, and then along the bottom you've got crosses, key passes, and you've got XG and stuff like that. So what can you see from this graph? What is he filling that we don't currently have in our wingers? Exactly what's missing, isn't he? He's exactly filling all the wingers we have. None of them perform well when it comes to shots, touches in the box, goals, XG. Obviously, this is last season under Frank, so it does have to be caveated. But I think it does paint a bit of a picture when it comes to what Gakpo's role is going to fulfill compared to the current wingers that we do have, which is the current wingers are all performing much better than Gakpo when it comes to crosses and key passes and stuff like that, and XG assisted. But when it comes to shots, touches in the box, non-penalty XG, Gakpo well outperforms all the wingers that we have, and Savinho as well, who are linked with. So I think you can see that's what Gakpo's kind of going to be brought in to fulfill. That's the role he's going to be brought in to fulfill, and that's exactly what we're missing.
The thing is, though, it's interesting, like what we've seen from De Zerbi so far with his wingers is like they're more kind of like touchline wingers, and they play quite wide. That's not really Gakpo's game, though, is it? Like maybe we're going to see like a different kind of thing with Gakpo, because Gakpo's usually kind of drifts inside.
He does drift inside, but I wouldn't necessarily say he doesn't like to hug the touchline. He does like to do that. He just likes to get the ball and drift inside. He's not the kind of winger who's going to regularly go on the outside and create chances to the byline. He will usually pick up the ball and drift in, but he doesn't usually pick up the ball from an inside position. He does like to pick it up from out wide. That's what I've noticed about Gakpo.
But he doesn't usually go on the outside that much.
No.
He's always like, that's what I'm saying. Like the Spurs wingers have usually been kind of trying to go on the outside a bit.
Sorry, Spurs wingers are trying to go. Sorry, De Zerbi wingers.
Wingers, yeah.
Are trying to go on the outside. I think he wants a mix. I think he wants the wingers to find the solutions. And I think obviously we're going to get Savinho, who loves to go on the outside. Kudus can go either way. He likes to cut inside and go on the outside. Yeah. And I think Gakpo will obviously be the kind of winger he brings in who provides just that little bit of goal threat.
Tell does both as well. Like Tell's like comfortable going on the outside and then cutting inside and taking a shot as well. Like Gakpo is probably the only one that maybe is not so comfortable going on the outside too much.
But Gakpo's also the only one who probably you're most comfortable with him on the run, taking the ball, cutting inside and getting a shot off. Yeah. If you look at the other wingers, none of them are that great.
He'll be the most clinical winger that we have, that's for sure.
Well, the one who's most direct to goal, I would say, than the other ones. So that's what he provides. However, I did compare him to some of the other targets that we've been kind of linked with or loosely linked with, or maybe other left-winger targets that we could kind of look at if we were really pushing the boat out, and how he compares to those. So if you bring that up, I've compared him to like Rashford, who people liked, obviously Rafael Leao, who's been spoken about. Kenan Yildiz is another player, obviously, that's been highly thought of if we were to push the boat out. And as you can see, compared to those players, he's in the orange. You can see Yildiz is in the red. He performs really high in all these metrics. Rashford's in the blue and Leao's in the green. You can see Gakpo doesn't really... what the difference I would say with these is Gakpo performs as good or slightly worse in the goal scoring and metrics, but also far worse in the creation metrics. So those wingers we're comparing him to, the reason maybe they're worth a bit more, or maybe a lot of fans are looking at them, is not only do they provide a goal threat, but they're also creative as well, and they provide, assists and crosses and that kind of stuff, where Gakpo is lacking in that. So that's something that maybe if you were to go in the direction, put a bit more money in, maybe not Leao because we've rejected him, but maybe with a Rashford or a Yildiz, you do get that little bit more quality. I think would be the what you would say there.
Yeah, I mean, look, someone just said it in the comments there, which I was about to bring up. Like, that is what a lot of Liverpool fans say, that he's very wasteful, where you want players that can use the ball a bit better and a bit more effectively. And, Gakpo, he gets in great positions and he scores and he assists, but there are other wingers out there that maybe are a little less frustrating to watch, that can use the ball a bit better and don't waste so much of the ball.
Yeah, and the answer is yes, there are. But you have to, if it has to be a Yildiz, someone like that, you spend a lot of money on. Obviously, Rashford is one of those, according to the data. He's more creative and he's also better at goal scoring. So you could do that, but obviously right now, is that a deal that's possible? Rafael Leao, the data actually suggests he's fairly similar to Gakpo, so he could be quite equally as frustrating in that sense, but he's definitely more creative.
What's he like with his take-ons? Where's his take-ons metrics?
So his dribbling success rate percentage is really good, but he also doesn't... he's not in the higher echelons of the amount he does. So he won't complete like 5 dribbles a game. He'll maybe like attempt 3 and complete 2 kind of player. Whereas someone like a Kudus, he attempts or Savinho, they'll attempt like 10 and maybe complete 5 or something. So their success rate will be lower, but they'll be attempting more. Whereas Gakpo, his success rate is high, but he attempts less.
I guess what this kind of says is that with the wingers that we have at the football club, with Mohamed Kudus, with a potential Savinho, with a Matisse Tell there as well, and you add Gakpo, it kind of does cover a lot of ranges of attributes that we want from our wingers. It's just about, for the money that we're spending on Gakpo, could we get better, or is this the best that we can get for that kind of money? Can we cover those kind of attributes with a different winger?
That's the thing. I think for the money we're talking about, and I know people think it's a lot, and I'm not saying it's not a lot, but in this current market, 70 million, it doesn't get you what people think it does, unless you want to take a punt on a less proven player who maybe turns out to be better than Gakpo, which is not impossible. I think having someone like with Gakpo's proven track record, you're going to be spending that kind of money. And when we're talking about fulfilling the roles, you're right. There are players out there that, as we can see, who maybe do more than Gakpo, their creation, more creative than Gakpo, maybe less wasteful. But we have those creative players potentially. If we do sign Savinho, we have them in the squad already, so we have that role fulfilled. We are looking for something very specific. So if you're looking for someone who's going to be scoring goals and getting in those positions, the data suggests Gakpo is probably one of the best in the business at that in Europe's top 5 leagues when it comes to getting in those positions. So it's probably worth, even if it's a high price to pay, it's probably worth spending the money to get someone like that in. Obviously we could spend that a little bit more and maybe get the full package. But we don't necessarily need more players who are going to create, because we have those.
Yeah. When you're looking at those 4 winger options going into next season, when you're looking at that, who do you think is the kind of the best wing pairings to go for in terms of when you want one creator and one maybe? Gakpo's got to be, one of the first names on the team sheet then, doesn't he? If he's the one that's more likely to get a goal or an assist.
It's an interesting one. It kind of all depends on what's going on with Maddison, what's going on with our striker situation. But I would say,
let's say Maddison's there. Let's just say, for example, Maddison's there.
If Maddison's there, I would say the best could potentially be Savinho and Kudus, just because if we can get Maddison in goal scoring positions and him in and around the box in those positions, and we have a good number 9 there. If we can get a good number 9, then I think the need for Gakpo in a lot of games, wouldn't be as much as the need of Savinho and Kudus just creating havoc on the wing, creating bucket loads of chances and the striker gobbling them up. Now, if we have, let's say, Solanke and Gallagher, you might need a Gakpo in there just to get that little bit more clinical edge in the final third. So it might be either a Savinho or Kudus with a Gakpo on that side as well. That would probably be, let's say right now, maybe Kudus is a little ahead of Savinho, so maybe Kudus and Gakpo might be the best winger pairing.
The thing I'm thinking as well is just like, with Liverpool and the way they use their 9s, obviously Gakpo didn't really work there. But with the way De Zerbi uses them, do you reckon Gakpo could potentially work in a central role?
I think he's got the attributes for it. There's no reason why not. I think he's tall, he's strong. Yeah. He's actually not bad in the air. And obviously he's a good finisher and can run in behind. I think he can maybe drop. I just think it might take an adjustment period for him to really properly get used to what De Zerbi wants. It might take a few weeks. I don't think he's going to come in and hit the ground running in that role, because De Zerbi wants specific things. But I think he's got the attributes for it.
That's what I'm thinking, because if you've got pure creators like Savinho on the left, Kudus on the right, and Maddison in behind, or Javi, whoever it may be, and you've got Gakpo kind of in the box, and he can also drop deep and do a bit of link-up play. He can be a threat in the box as well for set pieces and stuff like that, or crosses in the box for headers. I think that might end up being his best role for Tottenham.
Him being kind of like a false 9.
Yeah.
I mean, it's possible. It's very possible, and I think he's got good movement. He takes up good positions. I think it definitely could work. But for some reason, it hasn't worked great at Liverpool, albeit there was, I saw his record in the 9. It wasn't horrendous, but it wasn't as good as it was when he's on the left. So I think he can play that role. He's obviously played that role for the Dutch team on occasion as well.
They also prefer him off the left, though.
Yeah, I think he probably works better if he had a strike partner with him than if he was kind of solely in a false 9 by himself. I think he might find himself a bit too isolated. But yeah, I think I wouldn't bring him in to do that role. I would still get a number 9 with him, but I would think it's one of those things where once he's in the team, and if you have other options, but if you consider him, if you can see in training if he can do that role, maybe you give it a go in a few games. There's also another one where I compared him to Pedro Neto, and there's Rashford as well. But obviously, it's no surprise Neto doesn't really do as much as him when it comes to the goal scoring and that kind of stuff. You can see Neto's in red. He outperforms him when it comes to the kind of XG and all that kind of stuff. So What's quite interesting as well, I was looking at, there's a scatter graph of like just the pure underlying data when it comes to his expected goals and expected XG against Europe's top 5 wingers, where he, like, if you just put him on a scatter graph, where he would appear compared to just wingers in the top 5 leagues. So this one, bring this one. This is from last season. So you can see, I mean, Kudus is there just for comparison, but the non-penalty expected goals is on the left. On the bottom, along the bottom, it's the XG, and you can see he's top right. So he performs quite well. He's when it comes to just the underlying data, how many goals he's expected to get at the positions, how many assists he's expected with the chances he lays on. He's actually quite high. In that, when you compare him to wingers across top 5 leagues. If you go to last season, another one, again, similar position, you know, right there on the top right. And then I think this is from 3 seasons ago. No, sorry, this one's from last season. So apologies. The one before is from 2 seasons ago. This is from last season. Again, Rashford, that's Rashford at Barca. And this is Gakpo at Liverpool. Obviously, that's Neto at Chelsea as well on the left-hand side. But again, quite consistently, I think if you look at the underlying data, he performs very well when it comes to the goals he's expected to get and the XG. Now, what was interesting, I looked at how much he underperformed those numbers compared to the underlying data, and he was one of the top underperformers. So I guess when you look at that, from last season, he was one of the top underperformers. If we can get him reverting back to the mean, all of a sudden you could have a very high-performing winger there.
Yeah, I mean, my kind of takeaway from all this and Gakpo, obviously there's been a lot of people, a lot of negative comments about Gakpo. You know, I think it's pretty much split about positivity and negativity towards Cody Gakpo. But the kind of way I feel about it is that I feel he'll come in with fans not really sure about what he's going to bring to the team. But I think he could end up being a really effective player for Tottenham Hotspur. I really do. And I think he'll get a lot of people on side, and I think he'll probably be our highest scoring winger by some way. So I think he'll come in and he'll surprise a lot of people.
I also find it funny, like, compared to the wingers we've had over the last few years, like someone like Gakpo is so much better than what we've had in a while. So I do find it interesting, people turning their nose up at Gakpo and like saying he's not good enough, he's mid, he's average, he's this, he's that. When I think quality-wise, like, he's much better than a lot of the wingers we've had in recent years, especially in the squad. He's already been part of teams that have been successful and won leagues. So you like the question, is he good enough for this? He's good enough for that. He is good enough because he's proven he can be part of these teams who have achieved lots of things. He comes in with a proven track record. The underlying data suggests he comes in and fulfills the aspects of our attack that we just don't have right now in the winger areas. He starts for the national team. He can be a big game player as well in big tournaments. So he showed he cannot be overall by the big occasion. Like, I think there's so much more upside than there is downside. And I think we're talking about 70 million. Yes, it's a heavy price to pay, but I think what you're getting with it is worth the money. And if we want to move on in a couple of years, then we have that discussion. But right now, I think he can fulfill a role that we need.
It's a weird one, isn't it? Because, like, before Gakpo went to Liverpool, I think if we would have signed Gakpo, it would have been met with a lot more positivity for some, because he comes off the back of PSV scoring crazy amounts of goals. But now off the back of Liverpool, he hasn't scored as many goals as he scored in PSV. You've got to take the Dutch tax into it. But then you're also looking at, he's had 3 seasons or 4, however many it's been, of being Prem proven and proven that he can do it in the Premier League and scoring and assisting a decent amount in a very good football team. So I feel like there should probably be more positivity about Gakpo now than when he was actually in the Dutch league, because he's actually more proven now.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And I understand this is off the back of Gakpo not having his best season at Liverpool last season. And recency bias always plays. You know, you're only as good as your last season. That's what everyone says, or your last game even, some people say. And I understand that that's very much at the forefront of people's psyche, and Liverpool fans as well right now. He's come back off a frustrating season. They're happy to let him go. And so if we're picking up a player, you know, off a club where their fans are like happy to get rid and happy to sell, that obviously doesn't give the impression we're getting this top-class player or players people should be excited about. But I do think we should be excited about him personally. I think he's a good player, good attributes. He's going to score goals. I think he's going to excite fans. Yes, he's going to frustrate us at times, but I think he's going to provide a lot of good moments for us.
And hey, who hasn't frustrated us at times in
Exactly.
recent years? You know what
Exactly.
I mean? He'll be more effective than anyone that we've had since Sonny. I mean, I know Sonny's only not been here for one season, but Sonny was literally 1 in a million. You're never getting another Sonny. You're never getting another Harry Kane. So it's all about how you can bring those goals to the team in different ways. And I think Cody Gakpo can do that. Obviously, look, he's never going to hit the numbers that Sonny hit for us on a consistent basis. But if we spread it around a lot more, and like you keep mentioning, if you get 10 here, 5 there,
Exactly.
3 there, Cody Gakpo can definitely contribute to that, and probably more than most of the players in our squad. So, I'm quite positive. Let's hope that we can get it over the line. Now that Spence could be going to Liverpool, I think there's even more chance that Cody Gakpo could be coming to Tottenham Hotspur. But let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. Judging by all this data, all the metrics, are you more positive about Cody Gakpo joining Spurs? Do you want him to join Spurs? Do let us know in the comment section below. But that is it. That is all we have for you guys today. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you all very, very soon. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come on you Spurs.